There's a laptop sitting in an unlocked closet at MIT running a script called keepgrabbing.py. And somewhere on the other end of that connection, a 24-year-old is about to become the most dangerous person the United States government has ever prosecuted for downloading academic papers. His name is Aaron Swartz, and if you've ever shared an article online, organized a political campaign through social media, or fought against internet censorship, you've walked a path he helped build. At 14, Aaron was helping to write the code that powers the way we consume information today. RSS feeds, the architecture behind Creative Commons, even Reddit, the front page of the internet. By 20, he was a millionaire after Reddit's sale to Condé Nast. By 21, he'd written something that would seal his fate: the Guerrilla Open Access Manifesto. He declared that locking scientific knowledge behind paywalls wasn't just wrong, it was theft. Theft of public culture, funded by public money, hidden from the public who paid for it. He wrote, "There is no justice in following unjust laws. It's time to come into the light and, in the grand tradition of civil disobedience, declare our opposition to this private theft of public culture." Aaron believed the internet was the great equalizer, a tool that could level the playing field of humanity's most valuable commodity, knowledge. While others saw technology as a path to billions, Aaron saw it as a moral obligation. In 2011, he led the fight that killed SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, a bill that would have fundamentally changed the internet as we know it, turning it from an open platform into a controlled, censored space. Over 4 million emails were sent, 10 million signatures collected, and Aaron stood at the center of it all, rallying websites to black out their pages in protest. They won. They actually won. But that same year, Aaron walked into an MIT closet, plugged in a laptop, and started downloading millions of academic articles from JSTR, a digital library that kept scholarship locked behind expensive subscriptions. He wasn't stealing credit card numbers or personal data. He was downloading research papers, studies paid for with taxpayer money, hidden behind walls that only the privileged could climb. When they caught him, JSTR dropped their charges almost immediately. They got their files back and publicly said they wanted nothing to do with prosecuting him. But the federal government saw something else. They saw a message they needed to send. The prosecutors, Carmen Ortiz and Stephen Heyman, came after Aaron with 13 felony counts, 35 years in prison, and $1 million in fines for downloading academic papers. They strip-searched him, followed him, spied on him, and when his lawyer told them the kid was a suicide risk, Heyman's response was chilling. "Fine, we'll lock him up." They offered him a plea deal, 3 months in prison, a felony record that would follow him forever, the loss of his civil rights, and Aaron, who had spent his entire life fighting for what he believed was right, who had written that we must stand against unjust laws, was being crushed under the weight of a system that treated downloading research papers like a crime worse than financial fraud that destroyed millions of lives. His friends saw him growing quieter, more withdrawn, the light in his eyes dimming under the pressure of legal bills and the looming trial. On January 11, 2013, 2 days after prosecutors rejected his counteroffer, and just months before his trial was set to begin, Aaron Swartz hanged himself in his Brooklyn apartment. He was 26 years old. His family released a statement that didn't mince words. Aaron's death is not simply a personal tragedy. It is the product of a criminal justice system rife with intimidation and prosecutorial overreach. The internet erupted in grief and rage. Anonymous hacked government websites. Thousands signed petitions demanding the prosecutors be held accountable. And people around the world began sharing their own research papers for free using the hashtag #PDFTribute, turning Aaron's vision into action. 2 days before his death, JSTR had announced they were opening parts of their archive to free public reading, a small gesture that came far too late for the young man who'd fought to make it happen. Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, said of Aaron at 14, "I don't know if there's anybody who has read as many books as Aaron read." Aaron was a voracious reader, a born intellectual who devoured everything from anthropology to philosophy, and he understood something fundamental that most people miss. Information is power, and in a world where power is hoarded by the few, sharing information becomes an act of revolution. He once said in an interview months before his death that the internet creates a paradox. It gives us freedom and surveillance, liberation and control, and only we can decide which side wins. Aaron chose the side of freedom, even when it meant standing alone against a government that saw him as a threat. His case inspired changes to the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, the law that was used to prosecute him, because even lawmakers recognized that the charges were excessive, that the system had failed. Today, Aaron Swartz is in the Internet Hall of Fame, honored posthumously for his contributions to building the very foundations of how we communicate, create, and share online. Every year on his birthday, November 8th, hackathons are held in his memory, bringing together activists and programmers who continue the fight he started. The question Aaron Swartz forces us to ask isn't whether information should be free, it's whether we have the courage to make it free, knowing what it might cost. He wrote, "Those with access to these resources, students, librarians, scientists, you have been given a privilege. You get to feed at this banquet of knowledge while the rest of the world is locked out." Aaron refused to accept that world. And in refusing, he showed us that the systems we think are immovable can be challenged, can be changed, if we're willing to stand up and fight. His story is a reminder that progress isn't granted by those in power, it's taken by those brave enough to say no, to break unjust laws in the name of a better world. And sometimes, tragically, the cost of that courage is everything. Aaron Swartz didn't just build the internet, he showed us what it could be, what it should be, and even though he's gone, his vision lives on in every person who believes that knowledge is a human right, not a commodity to be bought and sold. The laptop in the closet stopped running years ago, but the script Aaron set in motion, the fight for a free and open internet, is still running. And it's running because of people who refuse to let his sacrifice be in vain. If this story pulled you in, there's another one you need to see. You know what to do so you don't miss our next video.